Hello there everyone and welcome to another video from the Demon Overlord. Today I'm going to be coming at you with another video in the sort of terrain, I guess you'd call reviewing slash ranking for what I would give towards a DM getting this. Now this is going to be about custom crafted terrain. This is terrain they crafted. Now, I mean, of course they don't have to buy terrain they crafted. They can always buy stuff other people have crafted. That's just and now this is basically on crafted terrain. So I want to give a shout out to Black Magic, who does a ton of this kind of stuff all the time. If you guys want to see him craft stuff, go check him out, guys. Blanco does a couple bit of crafting himself. Those are two guys I definitely would recommend going out. There's other guys on my channel I also would recommend at the moment, but I don't have memory of them. So, I mean, there's I think Frankie D. Crafter. Actually, that's another good one. Frankie D. Crafter. I would definitely recommend checking him out, too. Those guys do some really lovely pieces. Now let's get on to it, shall we? So let's start with tiles. Here's a simplistic way of looking at tiles. These are simply basic tiles. And here's a little cross tile, like a little small hallway tile, or connector, you could say. And there we go. We'll start off with those. Now, what do I think of these? These things are awesome. These things are 3x3s. They're a good, useful size. You can make a room. You can make a big hallway. Or you can stick them together and make an even bigger room. And you know what? I mean, you can always customize look different. Like you can see one there on the currently near almost the top. Those ones with the giant slash marks in it. Now that was it basically from a creature taking its giant claws and raking them across and ripping up the ground. Now that's that one actually was supposed to be an homage to my my Colossal Plus Red Dragon I reviewed in the past. Once I got that bad boy and he became literally the gem dragon of my collection. Like that's the best dragon I've got. He's the most important and precious and dear to my heart, being also red, as I am a big fan of red dragons. That was really what that was. Now, as you can see, we have a nice little simple little tile piece that will just connect. Like, you can use it as a connector between two tiles, something along those lines. It's a one square hallway, so, it's a 5 foot. Maybe it gives your group a chance to get stuck. Like, I want to go past you. Okay. DM flips a coin. Yeah, you get stuck. You're both jammed in there. Like, dang it. Roll strength is, both of you roll strength, get yourselves out, or one of you if it's just you trying to push the other guy out of the way. Maybe if you do it that way, you hurt your friend. Maybe you both fall over and ground and then you have to get up and it blocks the hallway for the rest group while they're trying to escape a bunch of, say, gnolls and they're single filing down after you. Like, oh no. So, you gotta love occasional 1x1s. They still have the one square based pieces. They still have their uses. Now, I do recommend, people have always had their opinion on this, like whether 3x3s are better than the next one, which are these 4x4s. And they always say, oh, well, which is better? I have to kind of go and agree with everyone on the 3x3 being the more important to start with, just because 4x4s do make nice rooms on their own, as they are 4x4, which is a 20x20 foot room, which isn't too bad for a dungeon room in any sense of the word, but, they're good at the same time as, they're just big. They're bigger and bulkier. They're going to take more space. I mean, it's really, they're both great, but I mean, the 3x3s make better hallways. 4x4 hallways are huge hallways. Gargantuan sized creature hallways. It's like, man, what do you need a hallway that big for? Makes you question. But they still look great, so I definitely recommend either or. I made those because I happen to have enough foam that I went from the slicing of bricks, or slicing blocks I was making, into tile size, and I was like, I go, maybe I'll try some 4x4s just to see how well that goes. So I gave it a shot, and that's what we came out with. Now we're going to move on to specialty tiles, which these are more unique, because I also like to call them trap tiles. They can be used by a trap for DM. These are my puddle or wet trap tiles, as you can see here. I prefer a foot trap or slick tile, maybe. But, for instance, this one, you can see the blue puddle and a little bit of liquid over there in that corner, in those two corner pieces, or the two sides right here. Just as, you can make those as water spots, or you can make it like their character's foot falls in, they trip over. Here we have, I call the wet tile with its little, two little puddles or foot holes. And this is great. Those type of tiles are awesome. Now, there's one other type of tile here. I gotta find really fast. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. And this is called my Ender Tile Mock Tile, which is a lava tile. It is literally, though, a replication of this Ender Tile. And that's just for a thing. Now, I have done a video on Ender Tiles already reviewed. I think they're part of the 3D or they have their own. So check that out, guys. That one's another good video if you want to know whether these are worth getting. Once again, they are unpainted when they get there. So you got to do all the effort of painting them. They are blank. They are like bone white, which makes them really hard to turn any color because they don't want to take color well. But anyway, Moving on. As you can see, it easily would fit alongside this big tile right here. You know, it fits along perfectly. Like, it looks good next to it, which is why I made that one to be kind of like a mock-up or a replicational supplement. And now we're going to get to my favorite of the tiles I happen to make for this video. We have the liquid tiles. These are also what it's called water trap tiles if you wanted to use them for that, like our like small pond traps. Because here we have the blue pond, very small and simple, but now these actually do, guys, the best result, do a little painting before you pour your resin because it helps give some spots a little bit of a unique feel. It helps do it because the resin is going to get a little cloudy because I add mica powder to each of mine to make them a little, to give them color. So blue mica powder there, then a green one there, and I think it was actually pistachio mica powder for the green one. The blue one I think was actually sky. I don't know why I chose that one. I should have chose like a marine base, but I chose sky just for giggles. And it looks good. I went very light with it because it stays darker that way, but it gets that little bit of cloudiness in the bigger pool areas, which I like that. Because you could have a creature hiding there like giant leeches, or even possibly it's a, you know, like it's a tunnel down, but you're just seeing the top of the water tunnel. And that's what it is. Like, that's the opening to it. So maybe like, oh, I look in. Suddenly a giant claw reaches out, grabs your character, pulls you in. The rest of the group has to follow forth or get grabbed themselves, you know. It has that great ability. Or you could have these be acid traps of different colors. Or possibly you could have these be slime tiles. Like, maybe if you want, you could build another one of these. Like, if you make like two of the same looking one. Or you make one like that, and then you make a copy of it with the same color of the slime, but you make some tendrils coming out and put some teeth on the edges of it. Or like if you want to do a mimic in that way, like a puddle mimic or a pond mimic, or if you want to keep it like slime, make some slime tentacles coming out, and boom, you have like two more creature types or trap type things to use on players. You know, really awesome. Now we're going to get on to ones that were literally inspired by Black Magic 100% because he inspired me on these ones. And these are these rocks right here. See my small thing now. These are my little rock, I just call them the rock formations. These are pretty good. I went with a color scheme that makes them very useful anywhere. You could put these in the Underdark, or you could put these in like above ground, like in a field on the plains. Like, yeah, these break up the occasional monotony of the plains. There's a couple rock formations, you know, and these look great. I mean, like, as we get close here and look at them, they have some lovely flocking. And we have some, like, and now these are literally just pieces. I took scissors for this because they actually Black Magic has a point when you cut it, it actually helps push the edges together, but only on the edges where you cut, so not the whole entire of the disc slash pieces get like that. And another trick, guys, that I learned is take a hole punch, just a regular hole punch a bunch of holes, put them on little ledge spots, and then hit them with the mix of the Mod Podge, baking soda, and paint that I use. I mean, you could use Black Magic style with the caulk instead of Mod Podge because it's a cheaper option, which I just didn't feel like buying caulk, really, to be honest. I already had the Mod Podge, why not use it? And when you gloop it on there, gloop it on top of those little like hole punched out pieces, because it will make it look like it's a bunch of like sedimentary formed rock, like the water has started to make them get loose, and then they settled in like a crumble, like a crunchy looking crumble mess. Because it adds another bit of like, you know, natural change and uniqueness to the table, and it, you know, these things are just awesome. I really like how they are because they actually get more heavy afterward, and they become very nice pieces. So let's move on to the next one. Just a second here. This one I call the hand axe terrain because I just like to call it that. I don't know why. I mean, it looks like a hand axe from above, which is maybe why I call it that. And we have this very large piece, as you can see. Now, this one actually got the same treatment as the rocks. This one got it after the rocks had been perfected. And you can see it is a multi-tier level. We have 3 different tiers of terrain. And as you can see, there are tons of bushes and, like, you know, little spots. Like, this is some grass on top of reindeer moss. The reindeer moss makes a good undercoating to hold that stuff, but yet keep it just a little bit loose. So you can still press it, and it won't, like, just drop all of the flocking and make the flocking go all over the place. Because, you know, flocking getting on your tables is ridiculous. I've actually found a trick is once it's done drying, take a, like, a vacuum cleaner and just, like, put the tube to it, see whatever comes off, comes off. Because now you've got the strong stuff behind. Now, there is also a small rope here. Let me just turn this a little bit. You can see right there, that little string up here. That's actually a rope. I took my 3D pen and actually wrapped it around a stone, went down, made a little spot where the rope's, like, you know, at the bottom sitting in a coil or just, you know, in a little mess. And that's because maybe some adventures have been there before. That's also a way to climb up to the second tier level, which then leads the stairs to the top level where it's like, you know, your big vantage point. And here we also have like some lovely little grass patches. We have my resin piece. This I actually made a little deep at the time, so a little waste extra resin, but it looks good. It looks fantastic. It looks like a nice piece to have your characters maybe bed down for the night or do something along those lines. Right over here. Now we're going to get on to the last piece that I'm going to be using in this crafting discussion. Now, how hard is this to make? As you can see, there's a lot of detail that goes in here, and this was not a one-time thing. I didn't do this all in one single go a piece. These were actually multiple different attempts at different things. Hot glue, resin, we had like usage of like flocking, we had usage of cutting, hot wire cutting. And now these pieces on this one though were made by actually literally taking box inserts, so styrofoam, and then hardening them up with the mixture of that Mod Podge mixture. And there's my my beast layer. I want to point that out as I was going by. That's the beast layer. Like, you could have a monster laying in there and come out of there, and it wouldn't be like, oh, where did that come from? I don't understand. Why, DM? Well, there was a layer over there. You noticed there was a bunch of, like, grass. Looked like something was bedding in there. Now you know why, because it leads to a tunnel for the beast. And, you know, this is, like, to me, it's just like an old ruins. Maybe, like, it was an old encampment of some sort. I mean, you got, like, tons of little, like, resin puddles everywhere. Inside some of the puddles, I actually have a few skulls stashed in there. Like, for instance, there's a skull stashed right in this little spot there. It's hard to see it because it kind of blends the rocks. But, you know, and then I've actually taken, like, glue beads. Like, when you do hot glue, they leave little beads behind. I put some of them together, made them look like a little, like, watery bug nest. Like, because they're just clear in the water, but there's still, like, bubbles there. Or it's just bubbles in water, one of the two. And honestly, this piece is a lovely giant ruins. If you want some really big ruins to throw on your table, this piece will definitely solve it. So anyway, where am I going on the final conclusion? Well, custom built to custom ordered. Now, see, ordered terrain, when you order someone else's craft design, you can have a high expectation. Because, I mean, like, you know, if they're selling it for a good price for the quality, hey, you know, you can't beat it. If you're not willing to do it, you have to kind of accept what you can get. But if you're doing it, you're going to fall in love with it a little more. Like, I fall in love with these pieces because I made them. They were made by my own two hands, so I have more connection to these pieces. And they still wow my other members of our podcast. Like, they're all like, dang, man, we can't wait to use these things. These things are awesome. Hope they get on the table so we can, you know, use them out. Now, yes, they go, how come you didn't put the grid in there? Because I go, I felt that gridding these things would, one, ruin the structural integrity. Sometimes it's not necessary. And two, you know, you just use your imagination, guys. Like, a little bit like, okay, this is about 15 feet. Like, if I only want to move 3 squares. It's not hard. Like, once you start playing along enough, your eyes start to kind of calculate anyway. Like, when you're going, like, you know, 1, 2, 3. You don't have to do the whole 1, 2, 3, like a chess piece, the tap, 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 or checkers. But really, great pieces. I would definitely say terrain can usually be from the 2 at the worst up to 3 at the average. Like, you know, if you're not ordering it, you're going to get a 3 because you don't have that connection. But when you make it, you can get 4 to 5. 4, if you literally always look at it and you go like, oh man, I can always add more. I can always add more. It's not that point where I would say it's finished. 5, when you finally get that point where you look at it and go, I am literally good. If I never touch this again, I'm good where it is now. That's a 5. So honestly, guys, do I recommend doing it? It's way cheaper than, like, say, for instance, to make this piece than it was to buy the terrain. Like, say, for instance, a shop house for, like, the 4D WizKids, what do they call them? Warlock tiles for the, like, the inn. It's cheaper than that, man. And, I mean, this thing's huge. Look how big of a space I got. And like I said, you can always recycle pieces of, like, junk to make these things. That's what makes crafting this stuff awesome, is you can take stuff you would have, like, gone, oh, look, a box piece. And then you look at it for a second and go, this could make an awesome room or, like, an awesome piece that I could turn into, like, a cool building or something. You never know. That's the great about crafting. You never know what you're going to suddenly make. That's what makes it amazing. That's why it's really hard for me to rank this one, but I would definitely recommend try your hand at it. If you're not good, if you're not, in your own opinion, not good enough to keep continuing, don't do the aggravation. But if you want to, try it, man. And try watching videos of other guys' creations that can give you inspiration or, you know, gives you ideas. Well, anyway, guys, that's enough blabbering on. Like and subscribe if you're new, guys. It helps keep my channel going, and I definitely appreciate. And have a great one, guys. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.